Dirty Sports episode 914 live on YouTube in 5, 4, 3. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Los Angeles, California, Joey No Chill Prano.
Hello, Andy.
Morning.
How are you, sir?
Good.
I know. I want a baby update, and the health and safety and status of your baby is probably the most important thing. But also, before we do that, more important things. I'll be in Montana next Friday in Bozeman. March 10th, Last Best Comedy Show in Bozeman, Montana. Tickets available now. I just tweeted it. I just retweeted it on Dirty Sports, retweeted it on Dirty Slides. Put it on my Instagram. If you're in the greater Montana area, which I guess would be anywhere in Canada or the 5 states surrounding Montana, please come to Last Best Comedy Show next Friday, March 10th. It's going to be a great show, great weekend. Going to do some snowboarding. Going to do some comedy. It's going to be awesome. All right. We got the real important stuff out of the way. How's your baby doing?
She's good. I told you before the show. By the way, I'm so glad you got the plugs out of the way quickly.
Yeah.
That's numero uno when it comes to the show.
We'll plug it again. We've got a lot of behind the scenes non-sports business to talk about. The jersey behind me needs to be discussed at some point during this episode. The show's next Friday, and I really, I'm excited to go to Bozeman. I just want to get some dirt balls out. It seems like the kind of place where if dirt balls came out, we would have a really good time.
I agree. Montana's a wonderful state. Why don't we just get the jersey? Not that I'm not that I'm pushing my daughter to
you pushing your baby?
Well, here's the quick update.
Teasing the baby news?
Here's the quick update.
Stick around for the second half of the show where you find out, is Andy's baby alive?
Savage. She is. The feeding tube was taken out today. So that's huge.
That's great.
Now, I told you before the show, we got a little frustrated, Brittany and I, because it's to that point of like, okay, she seems to be doing pretty well. When can she come home? Did I make a spreadsheet a la like I was doing a Dirty Sports statistical analysis to show the doctor, nurse practitioner, nurses, etc. today that she statistically feeds best with her mother? Yes, I made a spreadsheet. Do they think I'm a lunatic? Probably. But, I live in a statistical world through sports, through this show. I just wanted to prove to them, because she has to take 80% of her bottle to be
right.
And
if you look here at my feeding efficiency rating, Mom is coming in way higher than you guys.
100%. And Mom is coming in higher than the nurses. Mom is trending upwards from 77 to 84 to 88% yesterday. Did I have a spreadsheet all outlined with also a bulleted presentation ready to go had I needed that? Didn't have to use it. But I did have a bulleted presentation. Kept thinking this is me having a discussion with somebody who says, killer instinct. Well, let's bring numbers into this. Is it actually killer instinct? No. Is the baby actually feeding best with her mother? Yes. Let Isla leave. And I had what did I have? What did I title it? I had a title for it, which I thought was pretty funny. It was titled Bring Isla Home.
Yeah, facts only Isla feeding chart.
Yeah, it was a
facts only.
It's basically what it was. It was a facts only, and I was ready to rock. But anyway, didn't need that. Thank God.
What hospital is this all occurring at?
This is at St. Elizabeth in Edgewood, Kentucky.
Ah, got it.
So
I was gonna say, because the Cincinnati hospitals have been in the news a lot lately, and it's crazy that Damar Hamlin went home faster than Isla Ruther.
Yes.
Like, what are we doing here?
I know. Well, the good news is she's doing well. She's currently with her mom. who said that. So basically, they say once you get above 80%, they take out the feeding tube. She did that for a day. The feeding tube is out. Now they say she needs to maintain above 80 and also gain weight for 24 hours. So mom is basically saying, I'm not leaving the hospital because she feeds best with me. So mom is the real MVP. I get to go home and
She's going
talk sports.
Full Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not leaving.
Yeah, that's basically what's going on. So good news. Hopefully have her back today and tomorrow or Wednesday at the latest. And then, Thursday, maybe she can talk sports with you and I.
That'd be great. We'll do you can the first episode she's home for, you have to go full Lion King and just hold her up on the podcast.
I don't know what I'm gonna do about social with her. Right? Like, I haven't shared her face. I don't know.
I just assumed she would soon after coming home, you would cover her in cheese and onions and be like, "Baby's first 3-way." And she'd essentially. I assumed her middle name was gonna be Gold Star. I thought it was gonna be Isla Gold Star Ruther. She would just be the world's first social media baby.
They're not paying me enough for that. I mean, every man has a price, right,
yeah.
Joe? I'm learning that watching the Full Swing on Netflix, the golf documentary we alluded to, which I enjoy. I'm almost finished with. I think I have an episode and a half. They don't go too much into it, but every man has a price. And I was reminded watching that the people who take this moral high ground, I laugh so hard at. Like, I don't know. I just, like, to me, dude, you got to do what you got to do.
Also, I mean, I haven't watched the documentary, but the thing about golf and the PGA and whatever is, again, we've talked about this so much, is the brainwashing of people. Brainwashing anyone into believing that the PGA Tour is somehow, like, better for, like, morally. Oh, we've just, look at all the places in the United States of America that have a water issue, that we've cross-cut all these trees and constantly fucking use water, and everything's Nike, which has fucking, child labor issues, and the amount of clubs that didn't allow black people or women where we host events, like, it's not nonsense. And then we go like Saudi Arabia. It's like, okay. Like the United States military and government. I love the way they treat homosexuals over there. It's like, well, how about the way we treat homosexuals here? How about the way we treat anybody here?
It's just, that's my whole thing. I was like the reporters are my favorite in this, and they don't give it too much airtime, but the reporters drilling the golfers about the moral stuff, and I'm like, dude, don't even get me started on the hypocrisy. But I do love the golfers in all the Nike gear judging it too, and I'm like, yeah, you guys heard what happens with Nike? Anyway, I do recommend that. I do recommend you watch it, and I think anybody listening, it's a fun documentary, and I like those. I like sports documentaries where you kind of have an inside look into things. It's not going to make me a diehard golf fan, but I like seeing different personalities. I like seeing different backgrounds. It's cool. Now, you alluded to the Bill Walton thing. I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot to add that to the rundown. Obviously, that was heavily discussed on Twitter, and then also you and I personally texting.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I've said to a couple of different people, like, I'm not one of those people that wants to make the fucking biggest thing about it because I don't really give a shit that much. But also, I do think it needs to be mentioned specifically on this podcast where the Bill Walton impression really found its form. And really, I mean, I've been doing a Bill Walton impression on this show for a while. And listen, I by no means have the market cornered on a Bill Walton impression, a Stephen A. Smith impression, a Coach O impression. I probably have the market cornered on a Chris Mullin impression. I don't think there's a lot of other people out there doing Chris Mullin. I've got, there's some impressions that I go deep in my bag for, but like, I'm not the first person to do Eddie Vedder and weave in Ticketmaster and George Bush. Maybe I am Ticketmaster and George Bush, but you know my point. Like, it's not like I'm going deep in my bag for a whole lot of people besides Chris Mullin. But the thing about Bill Walton is, let me
hop in.
Yeah.
Because you haven't even said. So Saturday Night Live
finally did a Bill Walton impression 10 years too late this past weekend. I watched 8 seconds of it and was like, okay, I'm out.
Yeah,
he didn't immediately start with a drug reference. He was not talking to bears. Even the way they shoehorned it in to talk about like the LeBron thing or whatever.
Didn't make sense.
You're like, okay, Bill Walton's been in college basketball for how long now? Like, how many opportunities did you have to do this during March Madness and whatever? So anyway, they did an impression. Bill Walton did an impression, and of course, because Bill Walton has been such a caricature, even of himself, for the past 10 years. We've all seen the clips, we've all whatever. It's like, of course, it like hit to some degree on social media. The frustrating part for me was obviously the impression wasn't great, and then also, as I said in my tweet reply to Chris Vass and my manager Randy, who then put up a clip, it is a little suspicious that for the last 10 years we've had Bill Walton memeable moments and Bill Walton's rants and ravings existing in the Twitter sphere and on social media, and not very long after I send them an audition tape with my Bill Walton impression on it, suddenly they've decided to do a Bill Walton impression on the show and shoehorn it into an episode in the weirdest sideways way possible. It's very frustrating. SNL's been accused of this a million times. They make you sign a form that says just this very thing. It does make you feel like, guys, I get that you have people sign these things so you can steal their material, essentially. But also, if you're going to do it, stealing a joke is one thing, but stealing an impression and then not doing it as well, or not hiring the guy to do it, like, hire me to be a fucking writer then. I don't know.
Well, it's definitely suspect. I mean, it is.
It's the most suspect. And I hate when people do.
When did you submit your audition?
It was prior to, not this season, but last season.
And you said it was last summer.
Yeah.
So that's not that long ago. I completely agree. The Bill Walton saying wild stuff, the Bill Walton going viral, especially on Twitter, the trending Bill Walton, oh my God, did you hear what he said, has been going on for years. Especially like the last 5 years. The last 5 years, it has gained so much steam. Like you said, they've had time to do this. For them to suddenly do this impression after you submit a Bill Walton impression, let's say 6 to 8 months ago, it's completely suspect. And like you said, they are known for doing that. SNL is known for stealing audition tape bits. I lasted maybe 20 seconds. It wasn't good.
And like I said, it's like, I'm not going to do a whole call out of them thing or whatever. I just want the frustrating thing for me as far as the dirty sports audience goes is, with Robin Williams back in the day was supposedly a great stealer of jokes, and he would take people's jokes and he would do them on Carson or whatever, or he'd do them on a late night show, and then he'd be like, well, I just did it on TV, so whose joke is it really? Basically being like, you could accuse me of stealing all you want, but no one saw you do it in the belly room of the Comedy Store. They saw me do it on Carson. So now it's actually my joke, not your joke. And that's what's frustrating is we've done a lot of Bill Walton on the show. It's like one of the fun things I like to do. It's one of the fun things I think if people come to this show that they see that they don't get anywhere else. And now it's like, oh, these guys are doing a Bill Walton thing? Oh, yeah. Saw that on SNL. Not to, again, shout out another thing, but like how many times in our thing, if we're in some sports argument with somebody, it's like, okay, you part of my take knockoff. It's like, guys, part of my take is a dirty sports knockoff. Like, do your fucking homework. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here? But because something's bigger and out there, then they turn around like you've fucking stolen something. So it's annoying for me because now I know when we put out our stuff, it's going to be like, oh, well, we've seen this. We saw this on SNL. Cool SNL bit, guys. Not to mention it's like, forget we do it and then they do it after us. But we do it and then they literally take it from my audition tape.
Well, yeah,
that's annoying.
That sucks. And I think, I could be wrong, I almost want to go to the tape on this. That might have been your first impression on this show. You did Bill Walton. I'm talking, I was even surprised. I remember how our setup used to be?
Yeah.
I think like the first episode, you were at my desk and I was on that old gross green couch. You did Bill Walton or Stephen A. Smith as one of your first impressions. If not, you were doing Bill Walton by episode 2 or 3. And I even remember like, that's kind of random thinking, because at the time Bill Walton wasn't
he wasn't even like he wasn't even broadcasting at the time, probably.
Yeah, that was 2014. I don't think he was broadcasting.
Yeah, he was between broadcasts.
So when you did him, I was like, oh, Bill Walton. And I'm starting to kind of think, oh, the former player who did NBA for a while on NBC. That's what sucks is you have 9 years of this. I saw a response somebody put on Twitter, and it did make me laugh. Someone said, I still laugh at Bill Walton, your riff from Bill Walton during The Last Dance about guarding Jordan when he went off for like 60.
Yeah.
And I just started laughing, thinking of that bit.
Yeah.
I'm laughing right now. Yeah, man, it sucks. I don't watch that show. You don't watch it either. It's just,
yeah, I don't.
It's trash. It does suck, but I'm sure I speak for all the dirtballs. You have to still keep doing.
Oh, sure. Listen, that guy will come and go, and it just you hate to see Bill Walton tweeting about it, or like NBA players tweeting about it and whatever. And it's like, again, forget the fact that it's an empire. A lot of people have probably done Bill Walton over the years. I don't think they've done it to the extent that I have, or with the, I don't know, extra touches maybe I put on it. But again, the real knife in the side is like, I served it for you on a plate.
Not to mention, I mean, we've had, now that I think about it, even in the last couple of years, we've had dirtballs. We had a dirtball call into our show to have Bill Walton motivate his child for little, like, I think like knothole or.
I'll just say this. I'll just say this. 3 weeks from now, when Jokic wins MVP, like the end of the season when Jokic wins MVP or whatever, and SNL has Chris Mullen on to discuss Jokic winning MVP, I'm gonna burn down Rock. I'm gonna burn down 30 Rock. Yeah, Jokic, he's a good guy, good pass out of the post to me. He just gets everybody going, So, I would love to have him in St. John's. Would love to have him on the Johnnies. He would have Jokic, a guy in Queens. He could have gone out to Brighton Beach, hang out with the Russian mob, whatever. It'd be great. When that happens, I'll 9/11 the building.
Well, we do have a lot of NBA stuff to discuss. First of all, Dame Lillard had 71 last night.
Yeah. By the way, let me just say that was another yesterday. So NFL season over now for a couple weeks. Obviously, you take a deep breath after NFL season. I took a deep breath with my gambling. And then this weekend I was like, time to make some NBA bets. And I quickly went into NBA Jam mode. It was just, he's on fire. Every bet I made was hitting. I hit every bet this weekend except for last night's plus 10.5 or minus 10.5 Nuggets alternate line that I was just feeling. That was honestly pulling up from half court. It was the heat check bet. But otherwise 6 for 7, including the Dame Lillard game.
Yeah, man. I'll have the highlights playing here. He went off, dude. Like, here's the thing. He shot a great person. He was 13 of 22 from threes.
Yeah.
Like it was next level. What do we got here? Oh, here it is. Hold on. Let me get this going. Sorry. I mean, it was next level. Just, I mean, that one shot that he took right past half court was just absolutely incredible. It's so smooth.
He is now the guy, you know. We have the very famous Steph, third of a court hash mark extended game winner back in the day. But at this point, no one touches Dame when it comes to just like crazy deep pull ups. Seems like he's ready to shoot it. Honestly, once he passes half court, he was feeling it last night. He absolutely just dunked on somebody. Like he was going to the basket. He was just doing it all. And I mean, the Rockets are trash.
Sure.
But who gives a shit? We've talked about guys, the Kobe Bryant big games and the Carmelo Anthony big games. And it's like just this one seemingly getting to 41 at the half, seemingly kind of just in rhythm, a rhythm game. Not this like let's just let Dame heave it. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't even absurd, the shot that you just showed of him just pulling up directly over half court. It's just like it seems normal.
Yeah, well, I mean, his stat line, again, absolutely incredible. He was 22 of 38 from the field, 13 of 22, as I said, from three-point range. Didn't miss a free throw, 14 of 14. So, to me, when these guys have these games,
blood drug tested after the game, by the way. Did you see that?
I did not.
Blood drug tested. I don't know how to even like.
Did they think he took something that just gave him like the power?
I know. What would you take that suddenly makes the basket bigger? It's like you're like he's in the NBA. He doesn't need steroids to shoot a half court three.
Yeah.
Did they think he was on the limitless drug that like Bradley Cooper took? Like, what did they think he was on?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's incredible. I didn't see that. That's hilarious. Dude, it's bonkers what he did.
Yeah.
And we see this happen. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell had 71. Booker had 70. And again, it was against a trash team. But I don't care what you say. You get 71 points in a game. You get 71 points in a game.
Yeah.
I believe I saw.
And they sit at 11th, just outside the play-in game.
Yeah, I believe I saw that he now has 5 of current NBA players. He has 5 60 or more point games.
I think that's correct, yeah.
And he's leading the way. I think James Harden is second with 3. I think I saw that stat. I'd love to be at a game like that, man. You just see a guy so in the zone. I don't think he gets enough credit. Steph is so smooth, and people love watching Steph. I think Lillard's right there as far as just the beauty. I will say the
Lillard
beauty.
does everything off the dribble, because he's a true, like, I don't even want to say he's a true point guard because I wouldn't say he's a classic point guard, but, he brings the ball up. And gets and creates his own. And Steph certainly has that ability, but Steph also, when Steph has his big, huge, crazy games, a lot of times he's running off screens, catching and shooting. A lot of times he's getting the ball thrown to him in transition and pull up shots. I mean, essentially every highlight you showed was Dame bringing the ball across half court himself, creating, making a shot, going to the basket. It's it's wildly different games, and the off the dribble jumper to stay that hot off of that is really impressive. Whereas Steph, probably the greatest shooter in NBA history, but we've seen with other shooter types. Is guys get hot and it's just boom, we're catching, and they're just making everything, catching and making everything. But to be doing all the work, to be getting your own shot too, is bananas.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I don't know if I triggered Dame's game, but I did tie my Papa Shot high score 3 times last night
Wow.
at 132. 3 times. I couldn't get above it.
132.
That's been my high score for about a month now. I got it 3 times last night. And then Dame played later because obviously time difference. I'm just saying maybe he felt that Andy Ruther stroke, in my basement. We're not talking.
I mean, what are we saying here?
I was saying we're not.
The Andy Ruther stroke in your basement. After coming over and feeling that Andy Ruther stroke in the basement, he went out and had a great game. You gave him a little pregame release.
Yeah, exactly. But, you said it. They're in what, 11th place?
Yeah, currently.
I wonder if he stays there.
It seems like he is because they've had so many opportunities at this point to change the team around him, trade him, move him, and they've just never done it. It seems like they're committed to that Dame life, and he's a very enjoyable player to watch. There's no doubt about that. But it does seem like a sad state of affairs for him to be stuck in Portland. I like the Portland Trailblazers. I've always liked the Portland Trailblazers specifically because of my boy, the guy who led them to a championship, the guy who led them to had an MVP season with head coach Dr. Jack Ramsey in 1979. So I've always been a Blazers guy, and obviously they used to be my official Western Conference team because they have my boy CJ McCollum, and the fact that they never really made it work to the tune of being a championship contender with those guys doesn't make me think that they're suddenly going to figure it out without CJ and with it just being the Dame show. And it's too bad because we've had some really great Dame playoff moments, but we haven't had them on the highest level, which obviously always hold way, way, way more weight. If he's had some of those game winners in conference finals games or finals games, we'd be looking at him through a different lens.
Yeah. Do they make the playoffs? Like right now, obviously the West is pretty bunched up. You have a game and a half separating 7 Warriors, 8 Jazz, 9 T-Wolves, 10 Pelicans, 11 Blazers, and 12 Lakers. I mean, you literally have you have 2 games separating all those teams.
When you say do they make the playoffs, are they in the top 10?
Yeah. Because I think the Lakers are going to make a push.
I think they are too. That was one of my big bets yesterday. I looked at it. I saw Mavericks, Lakers. Lakers were plus 150, and I panicked. I went into panic mode where you almost can't type and can't do the things because I was so desperate to make the bet before they corrected it. I was like, oh, Lakers money line, let's go. Specifically because the Kyrie, LeBron thing, but also just the Mavs have been distraught and a bit of a mess since Kyrie came. Surprise, surprise. And I think the Lakers are going to make a push. So I bet that, and I mean that was a monster win after a big comeback. I think the Lakers do make a push. I think Portland will be right there. What's going to be interesting is to see which of those teams, a couple of which, we're talking about, like the Mavs, and the T-Wolves, who also, played yesterday on national TV. Do we lose the Mavs out of the top 6 and Minnesota out of the top 10? Does a Portland and an LA move up? OKC is also just a half game behind the Lakers, but it feels to me like they're not ready. Maybe they don't want to be ready yet. Like they have so many draft picks coming up. New Orleans, obviously Utah. I think Golden State hangs on. I'd be interested to see if the Mavs hang on. We're now at I think 4 out of their last 5 losses.
So we have a few calls about some of those Western Conference teams. So I'm going to get to that. 310-359-8365 is the hotline. We'll start off with a question about the Warriors.
Alex from the Bay Area.
Sorry, I'll start this over.
What's up, Dirty Sports? It's your boy Alex from the Bay Area. Just calling to say that I'm deeply disappointed in this year's Warriors team. You know, we got one of the greatest players of all time, Steph Curry. He's been on and off, but Joe, I know you've been seeing this 2-timeline shit. We got these young guys playing, but they're not playing. We got this championship core that hasn't been able to stay healthy. I'm just disappointed in this Warriors team. I know he won the championship last year, so I should be happy, but like, we should have traded for someone on the deadline. We traded our number 1 overall pick 2 years ago for a guy we could have re-signed in free agency, which is a fucking bullshit move. And the West is so stacked. I gotta say, if the Warriors don't make it past, the divisional round or whatever it's called, if they don't make it to the conference championships, I'm rooting for the Nuggets. I want Jokic to go all the way, but man, I'd like you guys to talk about the Warriors.
All right, so I'll just end it there. So the Warriors are right now, like we said, they're sitting at that 7th spot, 31-30. Disappointing year. Obviously, they won it all last year.
Yep.
So it's like, I also feel like, was last year kind of a surprise?
Well, last year was the no clear dominant team year.
Yeah.
And, there's absolutely something that comes with playoff pedigree, having been there before. They were just in a great position to, the Warriors are a lot like the Spurs were during the Duncan era. The Steph Clay era, the Steph Clay Draymond era is a lot like the, Parker Ginobili Duncan era. It's like every once in a while a team comes out of nowhere and is great and has a run, but if not, you can kind of almost count that they're going to be there. Now, there have been injuries, Wiggins, Steph, all these things, but I dare I say it, like, don't punch each other in the face in training camp and then expect to have a good year. I mean, this is the year of Jordan Poole is a nice player who got a big contract, but when I watch him play, and I watched him actually over at famous Warriors fan Andy Laz's house yesterday, was watching the Warriors game, and they have a lot of nice little pieces that could grow into stuff. Like Alex was saying, this 2 timelines. There's these young guys and these old guys and whatever, but it seems like there is a divide there, and specifically that divide comes in the form of your veterans are punching your youngins in the face in training camp. Jordan Poole, like I was about to say, nice young player, shows signs of greatness, but also plays sloppy, turns the ball over, tries to do too much. And, when you're sort of helped along by your veterans and say, this is how we do it, this is how we play, I think you could see a different kind of progression from a guy like him. And when that progression is stunted by, what a lot of people think is like the heart and soul of your team, cold cocking you in the face in training camp, like, chemistry is important in basketball.
Yeah.
Like, I know that you could say, oh, we're blowing this out of proportion, but like, are we? They won the championship last year. They're a borderline playoff team right now. Again, they've had some injuries, but it is, to me, the Warriors had the potential, and they seemed like they were doing it last year, of being a very Spurs-like team in that our stars are aging, but we know how to shift them
and
reload. And obviously, if you look at what happened with the Spurs, it kind of fell apart because Kawhi was like, nah, fuck it, I'm out.
Yeah.
And that has the potential of happening in Warrior Land if your aging guys, again, are violently assaulting your young guys.
Not good for team chemistry.
No.
So we also have a call about the Kings.
I knew this was coming eventually.
We'll keep it in NorCal. We'll keep it in the Bay Area.
No, Ruther, it's Luka Cash Money, your number one Sacramento DirtBall. I'm taking it. I just watched probably the greatest regular season basketball game in NBA history.
Whoa. I'm going to stop it there. Big claim right there. In NBA history. Anyway, continue.
Kings ended up winning it 176-175 against the Clippers in double OT. And don't get it twisted, the defense was great, but both teams were just hitting their shot. So my question is, yes, the West loaded up and the Kings stood pat, but there is something to be said about continuing with the chemistry that they had going already. And they're looking good so far on the other side of the All-Star break. So is there something to be said about the continuity of the chemistry that they've already built by all playing with each other and the solid 8-9-man rotation that they have going at this point? Let me know what you think. And condoms are for Paul George. That bitch kicks out on every shot he takes.
Well, your question about the building and continuity and Luka, who has been a Kings stan in the dirty sports world for a while now. I'm not sure if he's going to want to hear this or not. Like, this might be something that he's like, you're absolutely right. Or I have a feeling like, oh, Prano's not hype enough, because I'll say this. This is the first time that Luka was still hype about the Kings in late February. I've gotten some messages from him in the past, hyped as shit in November. This Kings team, look out. Let me tell you what's going to happen. And I was just like, okay, tap the brakes. It's November. You guys are 6-5 or whatever. I absolutely think the Kings standing pat is a nice move for them because, and again, I don't think you're ready for this. I don't think you're ready yet. I think that this Kings team is good, and I think that this Kings team is building something, and I think this Kings team getting some playoff experience is going to be good, and you certainly don't need to mortgage any sort of even short-term future to compete for a title this season, because I just plain don't think you're ready. I don't think that they're a title contender. Now, I think what I like about the Kings not making a move is don't try to be. Just because you're the 3 seed, you don't have to make a move to try to be a title contender this year. I think that what this Kings team needs to do, and not making a move at the deadline is probably, in their thought process, is this Kings team needs to not be a 10 seed this time next year. This Kings team needs to show me some sort of consistency. And when you look at like college basketball, it's always the teams that have a bunch of freshmen that are about to go pro and a bunch of guys who have been playing together 5 years. Keep this core together, get some playoff experience, probably lose in the second round, if not the first round, depending on who you draw as a 3 seed or as a 4 or whatever. Like, because it's, we just talked about those teams that are like on the bubble. The Kings right now are 3 games up. I'll check it. I think they're 3 games up on the 4 seed. Yeah, they're 3 games up on Phoenix. So they're by no means locked into the 3 seed. They're also by no means not they have a chance at the 2 seed. They have a chance at the 4 seed. But like they're going to be right there. And like we just talked about, the Warriors end up being a 7 or a 6. The Lakers end up being a 7 or a 6. Like after play-ins and all that, like I'd be careful not to lose a first round game of series to a team that has some experience, but at the same time, it's building that playoff experience. If I'm a Kings fan or I'm a Kings exec, my goal is play some meaningful games this postseason, try not to go out in the first round, build some experience, build this core, and be a top 4 team this time next year. Because making a move and then it goes haywire and then team chemistry is fucked up and then you lose in the second round anyway, and now next year we're looking at, the Kings are a 10 seed again. This Kings franchise has had moments of excitement quickly disappear. So I 100% agree with his call that this was a good move. Maybe just not for the reason that he was hoping for me to agree. Like, I just don't think you're ready. And I think the thing is, don't fuck with it. Build. Become ready. Don't fall off.
Well, moving to the other side of the NBA, something that would really scare me if I'm a Bucks fan is this ownership sale. Today they sold, so the Bucks are co-owned. And the other half of the ownership was bought today, or it's going to happen, by the Browns owner, Jimmy Haslam. That dude, if I'm a Bucks fan, that terrifies me. The guy who gave Deshaun Watson $253 million guaranteed could be calling shots.
Yeah. In related news, they've announced they'll be retiring both of Kobe Bryant's numbers, and Ben Roethlisberger will be signed to a 10-day contract.
Right, that's not what you want if you're a Bucks fan. This guy, because the Browns, since he took over as the owner, they've one playoff win. They haven't really moved the needle, and again, the Deshaun Watson contract is so bad. You just better hope this is a financial move and not a move where he's actually making decisions.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, return on investment, this is wild. I saw the Bucks were bought in 2014 for $550 million. They sold for $3.5 billion. About 6 times the value in
which is
less than 10
insane
years.
Because I've heard no one's watching the All-Star game. No one cares about the NBA. They got woke. They went broke. No one cares anymore.
So it's funny
I'm
you say
assuming
that.
that's just Biden and inflation. That's what it is. It's $3.5 billion because of inflation.
The All-Star game ratings were down big time.
Yeah, because no one gives a fuck because no one tries and whatever. But
I was going to say, but I don't think that really matters. Again,
yeah, of course it doesn't.
It's like we always say, until the TV,
NFL is absolutely king of the United States of America sports, and no one gives a shit about the Pro Bowl.
Yeah. And until the advertisers stop paying for commercials and until the networks stop paying $1 billion.
Was Kia All-Star Weekend presented by T-Mobile that you can stream on your iPhone's new HD device? Whopper, 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 whopper. You're going to dunk and hold a whopper, whopper. Oh, was that weekend down? That, by the way, that's the official title trademarked of All-Star Weekend. I don't know if you know that.
No, I didn't.
It's Kia All-Star Weekend presented by T-Mobile. Whopper, 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 TM.
The advertisement and the TV deal thing, it's almost like the quarterback situation in the NFL, right? Like, until a franchise says, hey, man, we're not going to pay you all this. Until a TV network says, dude, we can't just keep paying billions of dollars for these sports deals. But I don't think it'll ever happen because it's so coveted. You know how I talked about Netflix earlier in the show?
I don't know. There is a chance that I have seen that some NBA warm-up uniforms were about Black History Month. So it could just bottom out. That could be the end of TV deals as we know it.
I'm not following.
Oh, I don't know. I think that's what today's entire rundown of Outkick.com or whatever is. Will the NBA be entirely broke because of MLK Black History Month T-shirts? I just think that is my favorite shitty take in all of sports media. The NBA is dissolving because the league that's 85% black people says care about black people.
Well, again, yeah, it's you just follow the money, and I was just bringing up Netflix because I was reading an article about the full swing doc, whatever it's called, on the golf, and that's what they were saying. They're like, is this Netflix kind of dipping their feet in to try to make a play for live sports, which again is going to be billions of dollars. I mean, I can't get over that return on investment to go from 550 million. I don't think people realize like that's, I know because it's so much money, like you can't really process that. But if you did that with $100 and you got 6.5 times your return in that short amount of time. But again, if I'm a Bucks fan, I don't like this. This guy.
I don't know what the Bucks situation was prior in terms of how fans felt like the ownership cared or not cared about it. I mean, obviously Giannis is a game-changing, franchise-saving, franchise-making player who came along and made them from a team that, has had other great players in the past come and go because who wants to be in fucking Minnesota? Who wants to play for the Bucks? Obviously got them a championship. They're right there again this year. But I don't know how people felt about, ownership in general. But again, the Cleveland Browns are one of the worst run franchises in the history of professional sports.
Calling Hugh Jackson.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like the kind of place where you want to go finding your next owner.
No.
How do I know him? Oh, he owns one of the worst run professional franchises in the history of professional sports. Oh, okay. Got it.
Also, he's the guy behind the Pilot gas stations and truck stops. Have you ever seen a clean bathroom there?
Yeah.
Serious question. Have you ever walked into the Pilot and been like, oh, that's a nice clean bathroom?
I remember us driving and stopping at a Pilot on our way to Ball State, and I was just like, why do these places have showers? Do you remember how creeped out I was?
It was
just
the
a bunch of
truckers, man.
showering at a gas station.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Philadelphia Eagles fans' mouths are watering at the idea that they could eat a sandwich at the same place they shower.
I think we got a
Nothing hits like a shower, Hoagie.
That's remind me. I think somebody sent me something about was it the Jaylen Brown? I think it's on my personal DMs.
Oh my God.
Did you see the Jaylen Brown thing?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, somebody sent it to my DMs as well.
I think he said that that Sixers fans were shouting at him that he hope he tears his ACL as he was walking into the stadium.
Yeah. Philly fans, gonna Philly fan.
I have it here. Yeah, I mean it's. Go ahead, say what you're gonna say.
I have said this in the past. That is one thing, the Philly fan. Oh, when we go to games, it's you don't like it, don't come to the stadium. I have been in homes with me. My two famous Eagles fans friends here in Los Angeles. I will sit in their homes watching Eagles games and hear them yell at the TV, cheering for injury. Break his legs. You're just like, what is wrong with you people?
Yeah, so this is what Jaylen Brown said to a reporter after the game.
They all count as one, but in this rivalry, is it any sweeter when
Can you hear that?
Yes.
Okay, making sure.
in Philly?
Not really. I just look at it as, each and every game you just take with a grain of salt. I'm sure we'll see them down the line. So just be ready when it's time to go. It's fun playing here. Crowd was a little bit, hostile. In moments there was, people on the side was talking crazy, etc. But, we persevere and make some plays and you get the win.
Do you enjoy that?
It depends. I started talking to one of the fans because it got a little bit excessive, where it got a little disrespectful, and stuff like that. Even before the game, it was entering the arena. It was people saying, "I hope you tear your ACL," and it's just, I understand people care and they love, the team that they cheer for, but I think it gets a little excessive at times.
But I love.
I would argue that they don't love the team that they cheer for. I would argue that they love hating shit.
I love the look on his face. Like he's trying to process. Why would somebody tell me to tear my ACL as I'm walking into the arena?
I would argue, in my experience, Philadelphia sports fans enjoy disrespecting the players and fans of an opponent more than they enjoy winning.
I can see that.
And you go, Andy, open that tweet and open the replies. I have not looked. I guarantee you someone underneath is defending Philly fans with something like, toughen up, pussy. You don't like it? Don't come to Philly. Like, welcome to Philly. It's what we do. Like, I guarantee you there's Philly fans in there defending it.
I clicked it off. I don't know where the tweet is, but I'm sure you're right.
And not like this happens in every city, because that was their move for a while there. This happens everywhere. And then it's like, I'm going to pull it up because I guarantee it's there. I guarantee it.
As far as what the fans were saying?
Gotta love it. We're from Philly. Fucking Philly. We don't care.
Oh, man. Yeah. I see that. It's the second one. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's just like you can't defend this. Again, there's nothing wrong with being passionate.
Fans will try and get in your head. Takes a strong mind to not let them. This is an example on how this league has gone soft.
But see, I wouldn't see somebody 20 years ago in any other market, but they're saying that. You know what I'm saying? Like the idea that it's soft. Bless you. Like I never went to games.
Andy, the first time I went to a game in Philly was in college. It was just after I went to Lehigh. So it was 97 or 98. That's 25 years ago. They were doing the same shit. And that was the day I was like, oh, we hate Dallas and we hate the Braves, but this is different. These people are fucking garbage.
They're just lunatics.
Garbage people. I was like, in that moment, I was like, wow. I've seen trashy sports fans before, but you are by far the trashiest.
Yeah. Yeah, at this point, I think it's kind of unanimous. I've never experienced it firsthand, but just from everything you see, as far as the worst fans across,
but this is a great example too. It's like Boston fans are racist, which no one's denying, and New York fans will call you a fucking loser, whatever. Historically, Philadelphia fans do not treat athletes as if they are human beings. They throw batteries at their own players.
It's crazy.
They cheered when Michael Irvin got taken off in a neck brace and on a stretcher, strapped down to a stretcher. There is a amazing still photo of Eagles fans cheering Victor Cruz as he holds his torn ACL. They will say shit like, "We hope you break your leg. We hope you tear your ACL." It's the truly worst people in the world.
That's nuts,
there's
man.
a subset. Listen, there's all kinds of cross sections as people, but the worst cross section of people is Philadelphia sports fans.
Yeah, it seems to be the consensus at this point. It's pretty crazy. Well, we talked about the NBA and the advertisers. I think now's a good time to plug one of our advertisers, Joe Prano. Let's talk about ButcherBox.
I love ButcherBox.
I love it too.
They sent us a bunch of meat. I don't know how long ago that was now, Andy.
About a month ago, 3 weeks ago.
I just finished the last of it.
Oh, wow.
Just now. Just a couple nights ago. Took the last thing of ground beef, made some pasta bolognese, and that was it. I made chili. I made a second round of chili for the Super Bowl. I made so many steak dishes. I made, beef stroganoff. I mean, it's just the amount of meat that they send you.
Oh, they send so much. So I actually cooked 2 flank steaks the other night, Saturday night. Haven't been home as much dealing with the baby in the hospital, but I did point out to my girlfriend, look how much ButcherBox we still have in the freezer. And it tastes good, and it's quality, and it comes right to your door. Like, you can't beat it, right? All those things combined make it a home run. Guys, we got something else that ButcherBox is offering right now. You get free chicken nuggets.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah, look at this new thing. Free chicken nuggets for a year. I love me some chicken nuggets.
Free chicken nuggets for a year?
For a year, and 10% off your first box when you sign up today. So that's a 22-ounce bag of gluten-free chicken nuggets in every order for a year when you sign up at butcherbox.com/dirty and use code DIRTY. I got it right there on the screen. Once again, claim this deal at butcherbox.com/dirty.
I'm about to claim this deal.
Yeah. So claim this deal at butcherbox.com/dirty and use code DIRTY.
I love me some chicken nugs.
Oh,
I'm not going to lie.
Who doesn't love some chicken nugs?
You know what one of my favorite ongoing internet arguments is? Bone-in wings versus boneless wings.
Yeah.
And then they'll go, "There's no such thing as boneless wings. You like chicken nuggets." And I go, "Yeah, I do."
Yeah. Who doesn't love chicken nuggets?
Did you think you had cornered me in some sort of...
Who doesn't love chicken nuggets?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I love chicken nuggets covered in buffalo sauce. And I like to dip them in blue cheese. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did you... I'm glad that we finally come to an agreement here. Like they think they're doing verbal kung fu. You don't like wings. You like chicken nuggets. You're right. You're goddamn right.
Yeah, who doesn't love chicken nuggets?
Yeah.
The great thing about chicken nuggets is you can eat them if you're 3 or if you're 83. Like, that's one of those foods that like kids like, adults like, teenagers like, college kids.
You don't like wings. You like big fat pieces of white meat breast covered in buffalo sauce that you can dunk in blue cheese. That's absolutely what I like. Thank you. But like that's the arm wrestling meme.
So I used to always be boneless wings, and I'm swaying back now. I bet I'm one of the very few people who doesn't have a preference at this point.
My preference is I will eat some wings, and sometimes I get a craving for some wings.
Yeah, me too.
And if I go to a place, I'm the same as you. If I go to a place, it'll be like, ooh, am I in the mood for boneless or am I in the mood for wings?
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, how are you boneless and how are you, like, talk to me about what's going on. And honestly, I think that's the only right opinion to have. The people whose opinion are like, no, I need it all over my face and hands. I need bone. I need bone. When I want chicken, I need bone. I need bone.
It's a weird take.
Okay. I don't like chicken nuggets. Okay, get out of here then. Don't sign up for what is apparently the best ButcherBox deal ever. Free nuggets in every box.
For a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a weird take that you have to ride or die with bone in or boneless. Like, dude, I don't really care.
I feel like no one who's boneless gang is even like, I feel like there's people who are only bone in gang.
Yeah.
And then there are people who are just like, I like wings, man, and I like buffalo nuggets, and I like sometimes I like pieces of buffalo chicken on a salad. Sometimes I like it in a wrap.
Sure, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Love it in wraps.
No,
love it on
honestly,
salads.
if buffalo sauce is involved, I need to have wet wipes. The only way I can eat the only time I can eat buffalo sauce is if wet wipes are involved.
Yeah, it really is
and griddle and crazy chicken crunch.
It's a weird take. It's like you're digging your sand. You're the foot that you're putting it down. You're drawing. What's the saying?
Yeah. It's like honestly, the beef equivalent is like, I like hamburgers. Not me. Tomahawk steaks only. Only T-bones. That's it. Oh, you don't like a steak sandwich? Nope. Bone-in ribeye. Filet mignon, bone-in ribeye. Filet mignon. Are you a fucking child? That's not a steak. That's a beef nugget. You're like, all right.
Yeah.
You weirdos.
Can we talk a little NFL?
Sure.
I got to take some digs at Russell Wilson.
I love it. I mean, the Hall of Fame in dirty sports history of players once beloved by Andy Ruther that are now just he's climbing lists. I don't think anybody will ever top Kobe. Your swing from one end to the other but like you were way more of a Russell Wilson stan than you were a Kobe stan. But I don't think anybody will ever go as far the other way. For somebody that you were positive on, I don't think anybody will ever go. I mean, but man, the fall from grace just in Rutherdom for Russell Wilson.
He's just such a liar. He's just such a liar. So reports came out on The Athletic on Friday that Russell Wilson asked to be traded. I'm sorry. He asked for Pete Carroll and the Seahawks GM to be fired. They responded by trading him, keeping the coach, keeping the GM, making the playoffs with Geno Smith.
Yeah.
And he has the worst year of his career.
Yeah.
You have to laugh. And
his team stinks, and then they have to fucking trade more draft picks on top of the ones they traded to get him, to get a coach to save him.
Yeah. And then he goes on Twitter, whether it's him or one of his million people who is working for him, and says, I love Pete, and he was a father figure to me, and John, that's the GM, believed in me and drafted me as well. I never wanted them fired. All any of us wanted was to win. I'll always have respect for them and love for Seattle. You're just lying. This report just came out of nowhere. Like, this report was just fabricated out of nowhere, Russ. Just made up that you wanted Carroll and the GM fired. It just came out of nowhere. You are such a fucking liar, dude. That's step one in maybe you getting better, is owning up to your shit. You're a liar, man. And this is what you got your coach. Here's what I'll say to him. Included in that report was that he wanted them fired and he wanted Sean Payton hired on the Seahawks. So he's got his coach. He's got Sean Payton. So you better have a good year.
Yeah. I wonder when it comes to stories like, Andy, do you think there are dirtballs out there who like see my take on like certain players right now, or the pitch clock, or this or that or whatever. Maybe like what became a polarizing thing for like our Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins video that you put up. A lot of people who obviously aren't already Dirty Sports listeners chiming in. Do you think that there are dirtballs who see me put up a video like that right now and say, hey, man, I really want to shit on Joe about this Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr thing? But they go, but every time he's proven right. Russell Wilson, dog shit, trash coach killing locker room terror. After all the years, I feel so vindicated. Every story that comes out about Russell Wilson vindicates my fucking feeling. Fucking overrated. Not a leader, clearly.
Well, look, here's my thing on Russ. Like, we might not agree on all these things. I think that it obviously worked. They went to 2 Super Bowls. They won one. It is a partnership when you have a coach and a quarterback and a defense. Like, it all fits together and it works. But my thing on him at this point is you're just a fake piece of shit, man. There's no other way around. You're fake, and you're not playing well enough to back any of the fakeness up.
The audacity of someone to want Pete Carroll fired when Pete Carroll is the only reason you exist.
Correct.
The only reason you exist. And shame on you.
Yeah.
Seahawks fans. Shame on you, Russ. Forever doubting that. Forever. All of you, if you ever type let Russ cook, go in the other room, get out a belt, and whip yourself in the nutsack. How dare you? It was always Pete. It was always the defense. It was always most successful when you shut up, you didn't get paid, and you game managed. Everything after that has been a roller coaster sliding down a gigantic valley. And here you are in Denver.
Look,
next year,
I'll give the
fingers
fans,
crossed. You'll be the wild card team. Fingers crossed.
I'll give Seahawks fans, look, it's tough. I thought at a certain point, hey, so just whether it's Care or anybody else, a guy's been there long enough, like, it's changed sometimes good. Like, I'm not going to shit on Seahawks fans for having their quarterbacks back. I don't think anyone, like as far as the level of his.
But you just got to watch the games, and you got to watch what was success. Imagine we got to do something about Ed Reed's and Ray Lewis's contract. We need to let Dilfer cook.
But I don't think that's a fair comparison.
No?
I don't.
All-time defense, makes Super Bowl, wins, makes another Super Bowl.
Again, Russ
quarterback throws interception to lose second Super Bowl.
He had 10 great years. I'm not going to take that away from him. It's obviously it's a team game, but the team and individual success were very consistently great for 10 years. Look, this is the year. Like I said, like this, I just, what I don't like is when people don't own up to anything. And again, dude, you have a million people around you. If you read more of these articles, the privilege he received from Hackett and all this bullshit, that's not how you become friends with your teammates. That's not how you bond.
And now Sean Payton has been put in a position where he has to come into this team. They're already down draft picks from the Russ. They're down draft picks from him. He's got to come in, and he's already having to answer questions about dealing with Russell Wilson, dealing with Russell Wilson's personal coaches, dealing with Russell Wilson's posse on the sideline, whether or not Sean, will you be featured on a new Ciara track? Like, he's like, I just want to like figure out how to win football games. Like, I would say it's as equal a chance that Sean Payton turns Russ around year one to the tune of playing way better and them being a wild card team as there is that in a year they've got to figure out a way to cut their losses and tank and move on and be like, listen, we brought in Russ, new coach, he stunk. We brought in the coach the QB guru. He still stinks. We got to cut our losses and get the fuck out of here. I would say it's a coin flip at this point, which way it goes. I know which way it's not going. 14-3, winning the AFC West. Despite what Travis Kelce's going to tell you. They all said Sean Payton was going to come in and win 17 games. Everybody said we weren't going to make the playoffs. How you like us now?
You jabroni. Well, another wild.
Everybody was talking about Pat Sandwich not being as good as the Danger Witch. I think we all know now it is the elite sandwich. Woo!
Did you read anything about the Lamar Jackson contract?
No.
Did you read that article?
No.
So
Lamar Jackson still wants an absurd deal.
Dude, it's crazy.
Gist.
Yeah, well, that's the gist. So, but it was more behind the scenes of like at the end of the year, what was going on, the final couple weeks of the regular season in the playoffs, and basically Lamar Jackson, who again represents himself, keeps claiming he wants more guaranteed than Deshaun Watson. And it's like, guys, the NFL, the other owners, the other organizations have learned, like, that's just an outlier. Nobody's given their guy $250 million guaranteed.
And I just tweeted it the other day in regards to the Lamar Jackson thing and in regards to the Daniel Jones thing. It's like the idea that NFL QBs or their agents are like, hey, Browns are the worst run franchise in the history of professional sports. And if you don't do what they did, we're out. And teams are going, okay, I guess you got to leave then. Like,
yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I know. But in this article, it also, I guess, I think the relationship is starting to fracture with his teammates because they're all like, can you play? It's one of those at the end of the year, could he play or how he went about it? I guess they didn't know he was going to announce on Twitter, hey, I'm not playing this week. None of that was ever discussed with the coaches or the team. I think here's my take at this point. If I'm the Ravens, I trade him. The question is, who wants that? Who wants that contract? I trade him. If I'm the Ravens, because they still have nice pieces. But he doesn't have that
contract.
True, he's a free agent. You're right.
So You're
right. You could go the Le'Veon Bell route, couldn't he?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But who's trading for him to give him that deal?
That's the question.
Or who, even if they're going, fuck it, we don't care. Like we're not even going to try to do the tag and whatever. It's who out there wants to pay Lamar Jackson that money?
No one. He doesn't see that, though. He doesn't realize that. I have an option. Hear me out.
You know who's out there and you know which team, which franchise? The Jets. Everybody's talking about the Jets. The Jets. For every quarterback, it's the Jets. It's Carr to the Jets. It's Rodgers to the Jets. I think the Jets are building something. But you just said you could go the Le'Veon Bell route. What is the Le'Veon Bell route? Out of football?
Yeah, it is.
I'll take the money from the Jets and be out of football? Yeah, you could go the Le'Veon Bell route.
So, former NFL quarterback. I got the Ravens replacement. Former NFL quarterback John Kitna was just hired locally here to be a high school football head coach.
Okay.
The Cowboys have done this before. Bring Kitna back from retirement. See what he can do with the Ravens. See what he can do. He's coaching high school football here in Cincinnati. Don't bring his kid around though. His kid is into some bad things.
What school is John Kitna coaching at? Is it a good high school football program?
No, they're struggling. Lakota East high school football. Now Lakota West is really good. That's their rival, obviously. So I don't know. Yeah, he was just named head coach, which he didn't spend much time here as a player. I don't know. Who knows? It's going to help increase Cincinnati population, though. Isn't he one of those big religious guys with 1 million kids?
No idea.
Or did I just make that up?
No idea. The only thing I know about John Kitna is he's a great example of a guy that, I spent so many years with delusional Cowboys fans being like, Romo's better than Eli Manning. I go, why are we talking about it? John Kitna's starting for you this weekend. Why are we
Yeah.
Why are we even talking about Tony Romo?
I made that up. He has 3 kids.
He's only got 2 more kids than you do, buddy. You're closer to John Kitna than John Kitna is to Phillip Rivers.
It's still weird to me to be like, I'm a dad. Somebody the other day was like, are you the father? And I was like, yes, I am. Allegedly.
Ask Maury.
Did I do that joke again yesterday? Yes, I did. You know what's crazy when you become a dad? I don't know if any other dads out there do this. I start like projecting about thinking things way in the future, like how I would handle certain things. And I got ridiculed by my girlfriend's mom because I said, I'm just going to talk through everything with her. And she's like, good luck. Talk through. I'm like, I'm not going to get mad. I'm going to talk through everything. Do you think that's foolish?
What are the other options? What are we?
The dad who gets about? Yeah, I don't know. Somebody gets mad, it's like go to your room, or like if a kid messes up, I'm like, okay.
I don't believe in fear-based learning, so
yeah, I'm like, let's talk. Like, I'm not like locking her door. Like, what was that gonna do? I don't know. I got a lot to figure out.
I think who I think you got to be. You need a dad mentor, and I think that's Mikey. I think Mikey's your dad mentor. He's already your Christmas light mentor, your yard mentor. Like, I think he's to be, because honestly, he was the worst kid of all time. Like, he's top 5 worst kid of all time. Even though he was only top 2 in his family, but he's top 5 historically. Top 5 in the world, top 2 in his family. Just an absolute walking rap sheet, like a walking is he coming home in a cop car. Kids, remarkably well behaved.
What age are his kids?
10 and 7, I think.
Are they both boys?
Boy and a girl.
Okay, good. So he's got
so remarkably well. I remember when he first had his son would fall and hurt himself. He was like, "Don't look at him." He's like, if you react, then he's going to react. Just let him sit there. And
that's good advice.
The kid would start crying, and then no one would care, and then he'd just stop crying.
That's great. Yeah.
It's amazing.
I've heard my other brother say that.
Yeah.
You can't jump on them when they get
I was
hurt.
like, what if he's hurt? He's like, he's not. We'll see blood. I was like, okay. But remarkably well-behaved children.
Yeah. I can see that, though. I feel like that happens.
Skips a generation.
I don't know. I saw this kid the other day. He's probably 8. Every time I see this kid in the neighborhood, he's walking his dog and he's buried in his phone. I'm like, that shit is not going to fly with me. The 8-year-old buried in their phone, walking the dog. No. That was one of the things that came to my mind. I was like, the phones will be turned in at night to dad. Not that I'm going to look at them, but I don't want you on your phone before bed.
I love that you're even planning for this. Do you know what imagine in 2005 or something like that, having a kid and then not even thinking about 8 years later, 10 or 12 years later, what's even going to happen with phones? The phones are going to be turned. By the time your kid is phone level, she'll have the Google Eye implanted in her retina.
Good point.
What are you going to do? Turn in her eye at night?
Maybe.
There's not going to be taking away of the devices. They're all
True.
going to be like Russell Wilson's devices on their wristband.
Yeah, that's true. You can't plant technology. You want to get to some calls?
Let's do it.
310-359-8365 is our hotline. I wanted to get to this one last episode, didn't have time. This is for both of us, and it's also regards to you heading to a state you've never been to.
Great.
Sorry, let me take off the, there we go. What's going on here? Oh, once again, the volume was on. Sorry. Let's try this for the third time.
Hey boys, John, Salt Lake City, Utah here. Question for you. Crano's mentioned he's going up to Montana, and it's one of the last 4 states he has been to. So congrats, Crano. Montana's a beautiful state. But what constitutes having been to a state? Some hacks, think like just visiting the airport counts, which I definitely do not. But take, for example, I have taken the train, the Amtrak from Boston to New York. Sat by the window, saw a lot of Connecticut and Rhode Island, I guess, during that trip. But I never left the train, never stood on the platform. So, would you say that I have been to Connecticut? Or what's your criteria? Curious. Stay there.
This is actually a great question.
Yeah. I don't consider airports, obviously, an airport is not visiting a state. Technically, I don't even think you're on federal land, I think even. So, airport, hard no. A train, what the fuck's going on here? Can you hear that beeping?
No.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, a train or a car, I'm saying yes. Like, if you're driving through a state, you're seeing it, you're experiencing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think a car, it's kind of different. To me, it's like, it depends what we're talking about. It's like driving through a state in a car, like if you drove through, Rochester, New York, or if you were like on I-80 in New York and you went from Pennsylvania to like wherever, like, I don't know if you've been to New York. If you drove in a car in New York City, I would be like, okay, you've been to New York. You know what I mean? I think a train, it's kind of like a plane. You're passing through. Now, you maybe have seen it, but I've done a lot of cross-country road trips and stopped in a lot of places, but also, and I've been to Nebraska, for example. I did the Great American Comedy Festival in Nebraska. Also, prior to doing the Great American Comedy Festival in Nebraska, I drove cross country and drove through the state of Nebraska and stopped for like lunch. And to me, that was like, what the hell what would I have missed? You know what I mean?
Sure.
But like, I think having any sort of experience in a state is for sure a visit. And then, like, to be totally honest with you, and I know that some people are going to be upset by this, but if you live in a shitty state, if you're in Iowa or Nebraska or fucking Oklahoma or whatever, and I've driven through for 5 hours, yeah, it counts.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, if you drive through an entire state and there's nothing there, you've been in that state.
Yeah. But to me, like, you pass through Rhode Island for 20 minutes on a train from New York to Boston. I don't know if you've visited that state. 6 hours of driving through Nebraska and lunch in North Platte or whatever.
Yeah, you've been
I was there.
Sure. No, for sure. Airport's definitely hard no. That's
Hard
not
no. Yeah. But I think before I had visited Tennessee, I had driven through Tennessee like briefly on a car, and I was like, that doesn't count, Mississippi, I've been through, but I haven't like done a whole lot in.
Okay, here's one for you. Back when I was doing those fraternity college shows, when I was driving all over the country, I drove through Minnesota, but not like any cities. Like I was through the state. I stayed in a hotel.
You stayed in the hotel in Minnesota. You've been there.
But you know what I'm saying? But like off the freeway, I didn't experience.
You met people. You
Sure.
saw the state. You've been to Minnesota. I have not been to Minnesota. I've been through the airport, but I've never been to Minnesota.
All right, here's another non-sports related question.
Yo, John, Andy's your boy Nick. I'm watching stand-up comedy. Like Jim Brewer, this dude's hilarious. I wonder if you guys ever met him, or like my main question is like just tell like the craziest stories you guys have doing stand-up, like while on stage or backstage, or like meeting other comics. Real curious, because like seems like a dope life, you know, you just make people laugh for money. Definitely good for your ego. Anyways, peace out, boys. Condoms are still for Tony Romo. Fuck that clown.
I mean, he's kind of all over the map here. Like,
I almost like, dare I say, like, I don't even know where to start here, Andy. This feels like a trap call. You opened with Jim Brewer's hilarious. Jim Brewer has appeared in some funny things historically.
go boy.
But overall, Jim Brewer might have one of the single worst comedy careers I've ever seen.
I haven't watched his stand up.
You haven't seen the new stuff? You haven't seen the new stuff that was making the rounds recently? You got to pull it up, Andy. Put Jim Brewer into Twitter. You got to see where he's at these days.
Did he get political?
Oh yeah. Damar Hamlin's an alien.
Like, is he being serious or is he joking?
No. Listen, like, I mean, I can't believe you didn't see this.
I just hate when anybody gets.
You gotta watch. No, it's beyond political. It's beyond politics stuff.
What am I pulling up here?
I mean, did you put there? There's one that there's like video that will come up.
This is from February 5th.
Yeah, it's gotta be it.
But
You gotta be it.
It's vaccinated stuff.
But you gotta watch it though. It's not even forget, dude. We've seen Chappelle. We've seen Burr. We've seen whatever. It's not about the forget the topic at hand. Watch the comedy, Andy.
Like right now?
Put it on. You got to see this. Because, like, I don't even know where to go with this call if this is where we're starting. You're just watching Jim Brewer now. Like, I'm just like, I'm almost wondering if this is like a trick, if this is like a prank.
No, it's not a prank. There's no way it's a prank. All right, so you're talking about this clip.
Sure. I don't even know.
I don't know either.
The vaccinators, you were real cocky a couple months ago. We got vaccinated. Got my second shot April 19th. I can't get sick from the corona. I'm vaccinated. See this bucket of virus? I'm vaccinated. I'll even lick metal. I'm not afraid of anything. I don't have to wear a mask. People vaccinated are getting sick. What?
Well, I hate how it's pixelated. So it's basically.
I mean, forget the topic at hand, Andy.
Well, it's the body movement.
It's like if you were doing a sketch show about bad stand-up comedy, that is who that you would be like, you would show them that video and you'd be like, this is how we want you to act.
So some people like the theater, I'll call it.
That's
obviously you and I don't. Like, that's not my thing for stand-up comedy.
That's not even. He's not even doing like. He's not even doing an act out. He's trying like he's doing like.
I'm laughing because it's so ridiculous.
I'm laughing at the absolute absurdity that he's still like. I mean, it's at. I'm sure that's at a super church or something like that. You know what I mean? I'm sure that's at like a. No, I'm serious. I think that's occurring like at a super church fundraiser or at some like Make America, like whatever, like all these things, all these clips that keep coming out of him are from like wild fucking events, like, you know, whatever. Like he's not.
Well, I'm looking at his tour schedule. He's still doing comedy clubs. He's still doing casinos. You know. Well, he just, I don't know. He's obviously going in hard on this.
Forget that though. Forget the topic again. We're talking about a guy who's literally just making faces. Yeah. That's the punchline. He's like, get it.
Now let me ask you this.
Like, to me, when somebody asks me about stand-up comedy, so let's get back to the question. When somebody
hold on real quick. Was his stand-up always like that though?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And now we're at the point where it's like the Goat Boy
is a great bit.
Well, sure. But we're now at the point where Goat Boy is doing Goat Boy, but not being a goat and talking politics.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, fair point.
But he's still Goat Boy. He's just like, you get vaccinated. It's like when people ask me about stand-up comedy, and I have a lot of interactions with people because people all go, oh, it's the hardest show you ever did. What's it like? Blah, 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 blah. This is the hardest part of stand-up comedy, is writing a joke, crafting it, workshopping the shit out of it, taking it on the road, having it go bad, having it go good, having whatever, putting together what I think right now for people who are going to come see me in Montana or people who just saw me in Wilmington, North Carolina, shout out to the DirtBalls who came that, is an hour that hits and hits and hits and hits and hits and never has a break. The hardest part of stand-up comedy for me is I can't get booked because Goat Boy's going to scream about vaccines. Because they're like, oh, he's got a bunch of followers. He was on SNL 35 years ago. He was in Half Baked in 1996. And now he's screaming about vaccines. So we got to have him. Joe, we'd love to have you.
But you know how that works. It's all about name.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. When you ask me about stand-up comedy, this is stand-up comedy. Some people there's incredible. I mean, if anybody ever wants like a list of comedians that you should like check out that you maybe have never fucking heard of, reach out to me. And you know what? Honestly, I'm so glad some of those people have blown up. I'm so glad Andrew Santino's blown up from being on Dave and from doing this and from all that stuff. And I'm glad some people have turned social media, Theo Vaughn. I'm glad some people have turned social media and all that stuff into a great thing. Chris DiStefano. But then there's people where you're like, what is stand-up comedy? Stand-up comedy is like, it would be the equivalent of of Jokic not being able to get into the starting lineup because they're like, Rick Smits was great in 1996 and he still got a big following.
Well, obviously it's changed. I'm not going to say names. When you were in town, you tipped me off to somebody who has a big TikTok following. I don't know if you remember who we're talking about. Who surprises people in the car.
Oh yeah.
Somehow I was looking at his YouTube the other day because it popped up. He popped up in my Facebook feed, right? Because we're friends. And that's a prime example. I was like, wait a second. His whole shtick is this now. I kept thinking, okay, like what's he doing for stand-up still? Because I knew how he was as a stand. That's my point of like, or to add to your point, it's like everything's kind of changed with social media, and the term comedian is so loosely used, I think, unfairly, to be honest.
Yeah. It's like it's the only business where people can be famous for something else and then be like, it's like this weekend we've got a great comic. Next weekend we've got a great comic. The weekend after we've got the guy who was in the WWE trying to figure out what to do next with his life. The week after that, we've got a great stand-up comedian. Then we've got an actor who was canceled for being a rapist. Then the next weekend after that, another great comedian. Then we've got Goat Boy talking about vaccines. It's the only job in the world where it's like you're like I'm gonna buy a ticket to a comedy club. Is Steve-O gonna tell jokes or is he gonna staple his nuts to his leg?
Sure. Yeah, no, it is weird like that. It's for sure weird like that. And like that's what sucks is there are so many great comics and it's such a hard business. It's such a grind and to perfect your jokes and write everything out. And then you, like you said, you have a guy who was on Entourage who just said, hey, I'm going to do stand-up comedy because my acting career is over because I got Me Too'd. And you're like, what? Fuck this.
It's crazy. I mean, I can't believe I didn't talk about this sooner. So this will be a nice bridge from this conversation. But anyway, my point is like everybody has their comedy tastes, like whatever you like. The hard part about stand-up comedy, when you ask me though, like talk about stand-up comedy, the hard part about me, and this is not to shit on our caller. Cool, you like Jim Breuer. I think he might be the worst comedian on earth. I did 2 shows in Ventura this past weekend. That crowd, they might have liked Jim Breuer. Because it was like the weirdest crowd ever. They were fine on Friday. Saturday, they were meh. But former intern, Aaron Maharis, came to the show. I would call him Twerks with Wolves, but I can't because, first of all, I was like shitting on the crowd because the crowd was like old and weird and bad. And he was like, actually, I thought you were doing great. So, who knows? Like, for me, it was a terrible show. He said it was fine. I can't call him Twerks with Wolves anymore, though, because breaking dirty sports news. In the bar after the show, he told me he did 23andMe and has no Native American in him whatsoever.
How? No way. I want a resubmission of that test.
He says he has no Native American in him whatsoever. And I was like, this was your whole brand, bro. You showed up to Dirty Sports and I was like, you Mexican? And he's like, nah, I'm Native American. I was like, oh, really? And then the Twerks with Wolves thing happened. By the way, me explaining to my girlfriend that she was going to meet Twerks that night and then her being like, what the fuck is Twerks? And I was like, oh, it's a long story, but basically he didn't know what Dances with Wolves was because he's a millennial. So I rebranded him as Twerks with Wolves because he's Native American, only for him to drop on us he is not Native American at all.
Unbelievable.
And I was like, so I was right the whole time. Stick with your gut. I was like, you're Mexican, bro.
I actually texted with him. It's funny you just saw him. He and I were actually texting as well in the last week. He's a lawyer now. He's a big timer.
Yeah.
Good for him. That is some breaking news, though.
Breaking news.
0 Native American in him?
Yeah. Now, we discussed, Mexicans and native, I mean, what are we really talking about here? Essentially native North Americans who got fucked by the Spanish are Mexicans.
Yeah, basically.
Right?
Look at the history.
But as far as native, he came hot on Dirty Sports. He was like, I'm Native American.
And we were like, yo, your last name was Mojarras.
Yeah.
That's a Spanish name. And
then he showed up and he was like, breaking news, not Native American at all, 0%.
I thought you were gonna come with something crazy, like breaking news: Aaron gave up White Claw.
No, although he was drinking beers with me. We went out in Ventura after the show. Shout out to him for coming. Shout out to his boy for coming and checking out the show. We went out and had beers after. Shout out to Aaron for not only buying me a couple of craft beers, but also going up to the bartender at one point and demanding the closest thing they had to Miller Lights. Love that. So shout out to
Is he living up there?
the artist formerly known as Twerks with Wolves.
Does he live in Ventura County?
He lives in Camarillo,
Okay.
which it's probably in Ventura County.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, but he's thinking about moving, so he might be back down this way sometime soon. I've said that to him. I was like, dude, this is gonna be breaking news on the podcast. I have to drop this now.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, what's next? Trevor's the CEO.
Yeah.
Trevor's the CEO of ESPN.
Yeah. Can you imagine if we go breaking news? Trevor actually does work at ESPN.
Holy shit. All right. Those are our calls.
Breaking news. Shabelli's vaccinated.
Yeah, I think he actually is. For real. 310.
Was that Shabelli calling about Jim Brewer, by the way? Is that former?
Shaboring. 310-359-8365. That is our hotline. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I don't know. MySpace. All at The Dirty Sports.
JoePrano.com for all live shows. Thanks for throwing that up there, Andy. I've noticing, by the way, on our Ticker All show, episode 914, my famous area code, 914, life up in the house. JoePrano.com for all live shows, at Joe Prano on social media. I just posted on Twitter today and on Instagram today about my shows next Friday, February 10th in Bozeman, Montana. Last Best Comedy. Tickets are available now. I would love to see some dirt balls. If you're coming, I'd love to see you buy tickets and share a screenshot on social media so I can get the ball rolling. We're trying to sell tickets. I'm trying to add shows if possible, but obviously we would just love to sell out the shows that are currently going to happen there. After that, I will also be, if you're a Camarillo liver or somewhere up north, I'll be back in Malibu March 9th, the day before I go to Montana, doing Eddie Ift and Friends at Aviator Dreamland in Malibu. And then a couple weeks after I am in Montana, I'll be in San Luis Obispo for some shows. Sneaky Pete's secret comedy show. So if you want to know about that, I can send you some secret information on where to see that in San Luis Obispo. And just stay on JoePrano.com or all my social media at Joe Prano everywhere except for Twitter, where I'm at Fix Your Life, and I'll keep posting about shows.
All right. That's our show.
And follow us on TikTok.
Yeah, we are on TikTok.
Because we didn't even talk about the we'll save it. I only imagine between now and Thursday, the heated conversation around the MLB pitch clock is only going to get more heated. So we'll talk about that on Thursday. But I think we need to drop Joe Prano Saves Baseball on TikTok this week, Andy.
Okay, yeah. Let me get that edited. I know exactly where that is in the episode. All right, guys. Much appreciation as always for listening, watching, whatever you guys are doing. We'll be back on Thursday. Have a great start to your week. And as always, stay dirty.